Hi there, and welcome to Meals with Melissa. It is Saturday morning. I've got a really great option for you. It's actually so good. You know, I test these things out on not only myself, but my family, and honestly, this was the bomb. Now, I'm gonna tell you I modified it just a little bit to make it a little bit healthier. I'm also gonna give you some tips on how you can make it to fit your macros a little bit better. The great thing is, you know, some things are interchangeable, so it should work out really great. So we are making low carb breakfast sausage biscuits. Now, what it called for was just regular breakfast sausage. I'm gonna tell you my favorite all-time product that I get because it's super low in fat for what it is Isernio's chicken sausage. Now, I know that if you're back east somewhere, you're not gonna actually be able to find this. For some odd reason, I don't know why, but they don't sell it. But anywhere on the West Coast, you should be able to find, it's a great product. It comes in a couple of different flavors. This is a breakfast sausage, but it also comes in Italian and a spicy option. So super easy, super great, and look at it, like the macros are great on it for what it is. So this is the sausage that I used. So this is a 16-ounce package. The recipe calls for about 12 ounces, but I kind of just portioned it out so that I know in my head what is going on when it comes to the macros, and what I post below will actually work out for that. So 12 ounces of chicken sausage. And then I'm going to take, 1 ounce of cream cheese. Now, again, you could use like a fat-free or a lighter option if you're doing a little bit lower in your fats for your macros. But I took 1 ounce, and then I'm also using, it called for 1.5 cups of mozzarella cheese, but it's really high in saturated fat. So I kind of backed it down. I'm actually using skim mozzarella cheese. I'm only using 1 cup instead of 2. So I'm gonna dump that in a microwave-safe bowl. I'm gonna throw it in the microwave for about 30 seconds. So we're gonna do that really quick. Now, mind you, I've actually already cooked this sausage to make sure that it was prepared in advance. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take about 1.5 ounces to about 2 ounces a piece. You're gonna roll them in a ball and cook them as a sausage ball, okay? Make sure that you cook it all the way through. I actually kind of cut mine open about halfway in between just to make sure that it was getting the inside as well, because it ends up being a little bit thicker. So those two are ready to go. You're gonna cook those and cool them, okay? Meanwhile, I am making the crust of my little breakfast biscuit. So I'm nuking the cheeses together. Okay, and it came out, they just kind of started melting together. I'm gonna take a fork and mix those just a little bit so they can combine. Then I'm going to add 3/4 cup of almond flour. So I've actually gotten really good at using coconut and almond flour because it is gluten-free. And it actually works really well. It's a slightly different texture, but it tastes good. You do still have to pay attention because it's gonna be a little bit higher in fats because it is basically an almond meal. Okay, so I'm gonna mix that, and I'm also gonna incorporate 1 egg. Okay, now again, for this, you could actually use egg whites instead of 1 egg, and I believe it's about 3 tablespoons of egg whites equal a full egg. Okay, so I'm gonna add that. Now, honestly, for some odd reason, I can't find any of my glass bowls, which is actually what I would have rather used on this because they are microwave safe. This isn't really big enough to combine everything, so I'm gonna dump it in a slightly bigger bowl for today. And I'm gonna find myself a little rubber scraper first real quick. I know, I'm hiding down here, but I'm here. Okay. And that way I have not only room to mix it, but I'm actually gonna knead it a little bit to make sure it's all incorporated. So I'm gonna throw this all in. Whoop, I'm gonna make a big mess while I'm at it because I'm good at that. I'm gonna put this in this bowl, scrape it all out. And actually it works together just fine, okay? So now, the ones that I made last night, and honestly, they were so good. Not only did I eat one, my son ate one, my husband ate a couple. Super good. But while I'm eating it, I'm thinking, you know, this is really great, but what if, because it's, you know, a savory item, what if I added a little bit of garlic salt? Ooh, because I love garlic. All right, so clean up my lovely little mess that I just made. Okay, I'm actually gonna add a tablespoon of garlic salt while I'm at it. Okay, now I haven't tried this yet, so I don't know if that's quite enough, but you know, it's a little bit of an experiment. So I'm gonna add 1 tablespoon and see what happens. Okay, and that way next time that I make it, if it's not enough, I'll just add a little bit more. Now, I do already have my oven preheated to 400 degrees. And I do have some parchment paper on my pan ready to go. Now that's important because actually when I start rolling these out, it's actually a lot easier to roll them out on the parchment so that it doesn't stick. Okay, so now this is gonna take a sec. Now it takes a minute to incorporate all of that almond flour And so at some point here, I'm just gonna go to using my hands and kind of incorporating it and kneading it together by hand. It just works better. The mozzarella is a little, you know, elasticy, so it just takes it a second to utilize all of that and get all that almond flour incorporated. So while I'm doing this, I'm just gonna tell you, you know, I pick my my options and my recipes mostly from Pinterest. I'm not gonna lie, I love Pinterest, big fan. But you know, I really look at, is it easy? Are there a few ingredients? How do ingredients work? Is it really truly gluten-free? Is it really sugar-free, low carb? You know, I know everybody's on different options. So I try to do something that works really well for lots of different people and also give you options for if your macros are a little bit different, because of course there's no way to cookie cutter things. You can't go online and look at, you know, what one person does and think, okay, well, I want to look like her, so I'm going to do exactly what she does. Well, you might not be the same body type. You might have a completely different lifestyle. You know, she might live in the gym. Here's the deal. I tell people all the time, you know, unless you make a couple $100,000 maintaining an athlete's body, you have to find balance, right? That's really important. So, you know, I like chocolate once in a while. I'm not gonna lie. You know, if I had to give all that up, I don't know if I would. I don't think I'd do it. But I find balance. You know, I stay healthy. I eat really clean, so that on times like Thanksgiving, I know it's taken a second. That's why I'm still talking. Times like Thanksgiving, you know, I can enjoy myself and enjoy my family. And honestly, I don't do a healthy Thanksgiving. I do an all out, whatever the heck I want. But that's because I eat really, really clean the rest of the time. Okay, so I know that I could spend a few more minutes on this, but I really want to get this in the oven and then show you what it's going to look like. Okay, so hello everybody. All right, so I'm going to, now last night I actually weighed and portioned it out, but today I'm just going to kind of take, just for time, I'm just going to take a little bit. I'm going to take a ball. I can't wait to taste it with the garlic in it. I think it's going to be super awesome. So I'm going to take a little bit, roll it in a ball, okay, and I'm going to grab my parchment on my pan, okay, and the parchment really just does help so that it doesn't stick. If you do it right on the counter, it's going to stick to your counter and then you're going to have a hard time getting it up. I'm going to flatten it out just a little bit, okay. Now, believe it or not, I'm not even going to use a rolling pin. I'm actually going to use my pan spray. I know that sounds ridiculous, but the pan or the spray, the can is nice and soft and it won't stick to it, which is great. So I'm actually going to roll it out so that it's fairly thin because I have to wrap it around the sausage ball. Okay, so I'm going to take a second. It's sticking a little bit today. If you have to, you can always spray a little bit of the spray on your hands, and that way things don't stick. All right, and I'm going to keep going. Now, I did make these last night, so I will show you in a second what they do end up looking like. But let me go ahead and roll this one out so you can kind of see what it's going to look like before you stick it in the oven. Okay? And then I will leave the recipe down below so that those of you that want to try it can make these. Okay, so it kind of just ends up being a nice little, kind of looks like a tortilla, but it's really not. All right, I'm going to take my sausage roll, put it right in the middle, and I'm just going to wrap it up. Just like a package. Okay, and you know, fortunately this does decently stick together. You might have some extra little pieces fall out, but it's okay. Honestly, it's gonna bake just fine and it's gonna taste really, really good. Okay, so I'm just gonna kind of close it up at the bottom and then I'm gonna put it seam side down and put it in the oven for 10 to 15 minutes. Now you might just check on it. I put mine in last night for 10 and realized it probably was gonna take an extra 5 minutes. You want them to be kind of be golden brown. So even though it's an interesting mixture of cheese and almond flour, it actually is gonna cook up just fine. And honestly, like I said, it's gonna taste really, really good. So you make these, it should make 6 to 8 depending on if you're using the full 12-ounce package of chicken and sausage. You might have to make a little extra of the batter, the biscuit itself, which is just fine. I just ended up saving some for today. But here's what they're gonna look like. After 12 to 15 minutes, they're gonna be kind of a little golden brown and toasty. These are from last night, so I'm gonna heat them up before we eat them. But they turn out super great, and oh my gosh, seriously, they taste really, really good. And they do run, the way that I've made them, they do run right around 200 calories. The original batch was like 382, and I went, that's a little high in calories for something so small. So I did a little bit of maneuvering, adding the chicken sausage and some skim mozzarella and kind of reducing the amount, and they turned out just fine. So hopefully you love them. Let me know if you try them and see what you think. Leave me a message. I love it. Like, I want to know if this is working out for you. I do keep it super simple because, of course, most of us, our obstacle is time. So have an incredible weekend, you guys. Let me know if you tried it, and we'll see you next time on Meals with Melissa. Have a great day.